the beginning after the end. This right here is a good one, chat. And I know you're asking, Candy, what kind of one is it? It's a isekai. It might be my, so far it's looking like it's going to be my second favorite isekai, second or third favorite, because then there's Demon Lord, which is second for me, and then there's Konosuba, which is first. Konosuba is always going to be top dog, chat, in its category. Always going to be top dog in this category to me. Kind of like how what anime was that? Kind of like how Ghost Stories will be top dog in like anything dubbed, right? Anything dubbed, it will always be at the tip top. This one you have in isekai where the main character, he died not in modern times, he died more of a fantasy sci-fi times, and then he ended up in a purely fantasy time kind of thing. But only difference is one had technology, one had magic. The new one has magic. So the first episode, there's only one episode. I wish there was a second one. Man, I wish there was a second one. Where you just see him baby mode for their entire episode. He remembers everything, and as you can tell, he's like really good. Also, what makes it different is that when he died, I don't know how he died. He just they just showed him on the floor. But when he died in his past life, he was evil. You see him bombing cities and all that crazy stuff. And then he was given like a new life, and he finds it odd because he never knew affection and all these things. So when he like grew up in like a warm home, he finds it odd. He's the type. He's got, man, chat. He's like if Vegeta, right? There it is. Like he's like if Vegeta had his own show, but without the this Super Saiyan or Saiyan, because he does not smile. I don't think I've ever seen him smile. I don't think I've ever seen him like genuinely smile in this episode. So he's that kind of character. He's like, nah, I'm top dog kind of thing. But he's I think he's going to be overpowered. I think he might be overpowered in this one. However, they're writing it very well, where they're not. You can tell a story is going to be written very well when they take their time, chat. Because any other anime, he would already be a teenager or an adult, right? But no, he's still a baby. He's like 2 in this scene right here. Like the first half of the episode, he was a baby, and the second half, he's a toddler. And they take time to set it up. They take time to set it up. I think it might be on par with, what's that one anime where the guy, he got is a isekai where he lost his arm or something like that, or he's a pervert, that isekai pervert guy. That one, I think it's kind of on par with that, but without the perviness. Like this guy, he's a aura farmer. That's what he is. In his past life, he was an aura farmer. And what I mean by that might be in the next photo. It might be this one right here. He just spent, because he became king of in his past life, he just spent all his time just aura farming. Yep, that's just what he did, chat. That's literally just what he did. And that's the scene where he just bombing a city. He's just straight evil. Like, I don't know if he was evil or a bad guy. And there's a difference. Evil is just like, man, I love being evil. Bad guy is like, look, someone's got to be the bad guy kind of thing. And I decided to, like, it's kind of like if you live long enough, you see yourself becoming like a bad guy kind of type. That was his past life. That was his past life easily. That's the city he ran over. So his city, like his past life was a little bit more sci-fi, but they still use swords, right? They still use swords. It doesn't make any sense, but there it is. I was watching this and I'm like, man, they did this isekai well. As long as they take their time, chat. And I know I said I haven't seen that thing, this guy smile in the episode. I haven't. I didn't see him smile in the episode. He's like more of a, I've seen, in terms of like how much he smiles as much as Vegeta he smiles as much as Vegeta, which is very like little. He doesn't smile that much. He's that kind of, that's the best way I can explain it to you, chat. That's the best way I can explain it to you. I haven't seen too far into it, but I'm pretty sure, as a lot of you might have already guessed, that monster on his shoulders used to be some like S rank. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm just throwing like a curveballs out there. It used to be some type of S rank monster. He defeated it and it became his familiar kind of thing. Is that how that works, chat? Yeah, that's probably how that works. There was his parents. I don't know who the heck these guys are. I think, yeah, I'm not really sure who they are. I don't know who she is either. Maybe she's some other, like, this guy. You know what? Speaking of elf, because she clearly got elf ears. There's this one anime I was going to cover, but I decided not to. Because first off, the episode is like 15 minutes long. I don't like those types of animes. I prefer like a full and everything. But it seemed like they might have also, it's because I didn't watch it. It was like the elf girl. Apparently this guy, he got isekai'd. He went to the human world. I mean, not jeez Louise, the human world. He went to a not fantasy world, like a modern day. No, he got isekai, went to a fantasy world. He succeeded, and they sent him back. However, this elf woman who was obsessed with him managed to follow him back to his world, and she uses her powers to stop him from being in relationships and everything. I was going to cover that, but because it's clearly a very, for lack of a better term, bodacious kind of story, right? It's more of like a comedy, romance, fan service type. And I'm like, I think like I said before, I don't have no problem with any of that stuff, but there's really not much to, I'm looking for something a little bit more sophisticated, chat, to talk about. Not just, bam, right in your face. There it is. And all its glory. Nah. Again, I have no problem with that. So, King Remedy says, LOL, at this point, your thumbnails just look more and more like Adam Smash. Oh gosh, because we've been playing a new game recently, and I'm like hooked on phonics with that one. But this is a character you're gonna see so much aura farming. He did it in his past life, and now he's gonna be doing it in this life. I haven't even seen this scene. I don't even know where this picture came from. I have not even seen where this picture came from. Yeah, I think the difference, what he's gonna do in this new life of his, is that he's going to be much more kind, chat. He's gonna be nicer, like he's gonna try to rise to the top, or he might not rise to the top. Either way, he's just gonna be a lot more understanding because he never grew up in a loving household. He was an orphan. He managed to work his way up, become king, and just to start destroying everybody who stood in his way. But I think this one, he'll go less the killing route and more like, hey, I'm gonna give you a chance to get out of my way, instead of just like shoot first, ask questions never kind of type, instead of that. And I think, and because they're taking their time with this story, I honestly believe this anime will be my top 2 of anime, because I think a lot of things that can ruin an anime is if they work too fast. If you work too fast in telling the story, it's just going to make it feel like I don't really care. If all the OG animes have taught us anything, like Inuyasha, Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho, Naruto, Bleach, if they taught us anything, is that slow and steady wins the race for like the long haul, right? Too slow will, like, be annoying, but slow and steady will like win the race and be remembered for like a very long time. But I think the reason why you won't see too many of those types of animes is because it's getting more expensive. Maybe it might be just getting more expensive to do that. It might be because how the heck are those animes still going? Naruto became Boruto, right? Is that a real word, Boruto? Yeah, that's a real word. That sounds like one. That's still going. How can, like, why do we have so few anime that like aren't being produced with more episodes? Dragon Ball has been going for years. Bleach has been going for years. Naruto has been going for years. And yet you have a lot of anime, they just stop after 12 episodes, after one season. Chat. Yep, there he is, aura farming again. Yep, there's some bodies right there behind my head. Yeah, he's good. This is probably going to be my, like I said before, chat, my number 1 isekai I love is Konosuba. Top dog of all isekai. This might beat this might be the only one so far I've seen that can compete with Demon Lord. with how it's like, slowly becoming the thing, like slowly like telling the story, this might become like a neck and neck with the Demon Lord anime, chat. It might. It might. It might just. It might just. In my opinion. In terms of isekais. Man, I wonder what they're gonna do with this and how long it's going. Because it is a manga. It is a manga. So I want to. I think this might have this manga might have started on Webtoon too. It might have. King Remedy says the two things I think of is the big three had really bad early animation to save money, but the story was solid enough to carry it until the big fights where the budget is used. Yeah. That could be true, because this felt like I was watching a movie, even though I was watching it low quality sometimes. But it seemed like they might be putting a lot of the budget into it. Kind of like how that one anime, what's it called? Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on it. The Black Butler anime. It's kind of like that, where it looks really good. Each episode looks amazing, but I bet they put so much budget into it. We might actually, you know what? I take that back, chat. And I know a lot of you might be upset about this, but we might actually see a increase in anime episodes, right? We might actually see an increase in longer seasons, because of the technology it used to make them are getting better and better. Now, I remember when 3D was starting to be used more in anime, and I let me tell you, I haven't been a big fan of 3D inside of anime. However, it does allow a lot of the animation to to progress a lot more if they do it just right. King Remedy says the second is most only planned for 12 because animation has a much higher standard now, so much more money, and can't afford to have a second season. Also, 12 episodes is easier for Japanese release schedules. True. So you know how dubstep was like frowned upon back in the day, chat? And then you know how 3D anime was frowned upon as well. Well, eventually they're going to start making anime with AI. Yeah. And let me explain that to you, because there's a lot of and I think it happened because there's a lot of like back and forth between the artists and the art studios, right? They want to, like, there's so much back and forth where the studios aren't paying enough and the artists want more, and you got the fans who are in uproar about the mistreatment of artists, and the studios don't want to budge. So it's like with any corporation or what have you, there's like, all right, something needs to change. We don't want to keep paying more for artists, because the cost of living is so high. Artists can't afford to work for us and stuff like that. Here at this studio, we don't really have that problem. The bookkeeper seems to be paying her artists pretty well. But other studios who are much larger projects, got much more going on, they can't really afford it, and they don't want to go down in their projects. So eventually they're going to use bring in AI to help with a lot of the stuff, just like how some studios are slowly switching over to 3D anime. Yeah. So I'm really curious to see how that's gonna play out, because it could make the seasons much longer, because in a few years maybe we'll start seeing an average of 24 episodes a season. That's the average, right? You don't see 12 episode seasons anymore, because it's a lot easier to produce anime now around that time, because the new technologies and all these things. Then you're going to have the older heads going to be like, well, I remember when we used to make anime by hand, we didn't use all the digital stuff. And then the digital animator is going to be like, oh man, I remember when we used to use digital animations, not all this AI stuff or 3D stuff. And then up and up and up. It's going to happen every generation, where one generation badmouths the next generation kind of thing. And that's just what's going to happen. Kind of like how dubstep, no one cares about dubstep anymore. Everyone at one point, people were just upset about it. You know what? On Facebook chat, there are a lot of people who are so hung up on AI and general stuff. They will like let's say there's nothing going on, nothing AI related going on in an image or whatsoever. Like they see a photo online on Facebook, and then it's like you can clearly tell like it's hand drawn or whatever. Like but someone in the comments be like, "Oh, good, thank goodness this isn't AI." I'm like, is that what your mindset is on? Like you so hung up on that you can't enjoy a good artist without like trying to add your anger into it. Like I don't know, and I know I say that like because you know I use AI generators for my thumbnails and everything because I'm not an artist. I'm not. I can draw a stick figure, but you know that's about it. But I am calling it for what it is that hey, if you live your life with like kind of anger behind everything you do, you're probably gonna have a short life. King Remedy says the only thing I don't like for AI is the lack of control over the character design. You can go back and forth, but it's so hard to get a perfect character. They all look the same and bland. That might be true, but I have heard from the bookkeeper. She tells me like a lot of artists, they're not satisfied with their work because she says like even she will stare at her work for like almost hours trying to figure out how to make it better. Yeah. And then me being like me using the AI generators like for my thumbnails, I will look at it for like a long time and I'm like I would look at it for a long time. I'm like, because I'm making my thumbnails to match what I'm doing on a certain day for the live stream, and I'm like, I don't like that one. That doesn't. It seems like just gobbledygook. Like, no, I want something that kind of tells what I'm doing. Which today I'm playing Beyond All Reason, a mech game, right? King Remedy says, my grandma said my stick figure with a hat was neat once. So I'm pretty much Picasso. Yo, we out here. Stick figures for the go. Man, I saw someone I saw this one kid get in trouble for drawing a stick figure. It was so wild to me, man. He was like, he went to his dad. He showed him a stick figure. He said, "Dad, I just drew a naked guy and everything." And it was just a stick figure. It was literally just a stick figure. It didn't have no dingling or nothing like that, chat. And he got grounded. And I'm like, I guess it's the thought that counts. It's the thought that counts. Jeez Louise. Oh man. People out here getting in trouble for like the simplest of things. The thought that counts in the negative direction. King Remedy says, I love characters that have a very specific design for a reason compared to a bland character. I can agree with you on a sense that I think in the one of the animes I've been watching, chat, a character popped up. We talked about it before we talked about this one. I forgot to mention it, but a character popped up who had a high voice, like a high squeaky voice, but she was like young or an elf is one of the two. She was a small elf girl. Like after I first heard it, the moment I heard the voice, I'm like, what are you, a chipmunk? And like I didn't say chipmunk. I didn't even think chipmunk, but now I am. I'm like, oh my goodness, what are you this chipmunk? It was so annoying. It was so annoying, but somehow I managed to not care anymore. But I can see where that comes from. I don't know if that's a good, like, you know, reference of what you were talking about, a bland character, but I find things that are annoying about characters as well. Game Remedy says a kid at my school got in trouble because he drew a realistic gun on a piece of paper once. Yep, that'll stop those bad things happening at school. Yep, that'll stop that. If you draw it on paper, you better not. You better not. I feel like a lot of people out there are very defenseless and very helpless. I wouldn't say defenseless, but they have a sense of helplessness, like a very deep sense of helplessness. And so they would do what they can. There was a scene on Boondocks where Huey, I think it was Huey, he asked his granddad, rest in peace, he asked his granddad, said, "What can you do when you can't do nothing at all?" And his granddad says, "You do what you can. You do what you can." And I'm like, and I never really thought about this until just this moment. And I'm like, maybe that's why a lot of, you know, that's why a lot of people who are in power, they do feel helpless and they do feel scared. Like so they would just do everything they can to try to make a difference, even though in my eyes it seems very dumb. I think it's in my eyes it's very dumb, but at the same time, I can understand it. I understand how it got to that point. Like, I think there's a better way, but you know, at least they're doing something. Because I ain't doing anything for Texas. They are. That's something you can say. It's kind of like how there are a lot of people out there who have the will and the drive to do something for a certain situation. Either they're because they're good people or because they're bad people, or they're bad people. Either way, they have the will and the drive to do it. Some people don't even have that. I'm not saying I don't have the drive to do anything. I got other priorities, like completely different priorities. So much so, if a girl hits on me, I'm like, no, I'm calling the FBI on you. Calling the CIA. I'm calling King Remedy to ban you from my life. Oh gosh. But yeah, the first episode of this anime, he's baby mode. But the writers or the writer, he does this very well. And the animators, what I'm happy about it is that I'm happy that the animators are taking it slow, because nothing kills an anime more for me than how fast it progresses, how fast it moves. You can tell if an anime isn't going to be very in-depth, chat, with how the art style looks. You can tell. You can easily tell. A lot of anime that moves too fast won't have like a blurry background or stuff like that. Right? Am I right? You don't have, like, at least I don't recall seeing it. Or maybe I'm just stupid, chat. I don't recall seeing it like that. Let's see. You don't really see too much of that in like very low budget animes. You can tell it's a low budget anime when it's doesn't have too much in-depth story. When it has like a very in-depth story, you can tell like they're putting money into it. Money. You know what was a good anime movie, because I don't think they came out the anime series. It was the horse racing one. You might have seen this on TikTok, chat. You might have seen this on TikTok or whatever platform you watch reels or shorts or what have you, where it was these ladies who were running because they were like horse bred or something like that, and they're just running around the horse track. But there was so much animation, like so clean, such a clean animation in it. It's like amazing. It's amazing, man. I haven't seen the movie, and I think I haven't seen the movie, and I think it might also be a game. But the animation is so clean. I've never been so interested in racing around a track. And it was like they're like horse women, so they're on a horse track and they're running around the track. It's like it's very an interesting thing. It's very interesting. But I have to watch that. I might have to watch that, chat. I might have to. King Remedy says, I live in Texas. It sounds borderline impossible to enforce the anime rule unless you have other charges and they find it passively. I had a friend of mine, my co-host, he was saying something about how the Texas law that they're trying to pass, because it's still a bill. I don't know how bills work, chat. But the Texas law they're trying to pass is actually trying to make sure. He said he supposedly read it. I need to ask him more about it. But I think he said something about how that law or that bill has nothing, because it's not a law yet. That bill has nothing to do with actual anime, but it's more to stop the people from referencing real life people. People from referencing real life people, and like for whatever. So it's kind of. I would have to read it myself, but I hate reading so much. So there's something to think about, chat. Something to think about. We will see. Because because artists, they can do a lot of crazy things. Like for example, I know the bookkeeper, she was talking about how one of her fears is an artist, you know, drawing me in a very lewd position and stuff like that. Like she said, it boils her blood just thinking about it. However, she will never support censorship of art, kind of thing. Like she would never support censorship of art. Have the controls to be able to not see certain things on, like, for example, maybe X allow you to say, hey, if you want to censor a lot of, like, you know, risque things, then hit this button, kind of thing. Sure. But in terms of controlling what people create or don't create, she says she's not about that. So it's a very interesting thing. It's kind of like how Elon Musk, he makes sure X is a place of, like, a free speech indefinitely. I mean, aside from, like, breaking a crime of making threats and everything, but just being, you know, you can be someone like what's his name, not Kendrick, who was it, he's the rapper who kind of popping off on X. I forget his name, but he was popping off on X, but he's not, as far as I know, his X account isn't banned or anything like that. So, and that's what Elon Musk wants with his platform, is to allow people to say anything they want. As long, yeah, Kanye, it was Kanye. He's been saying all these things. He's literally just saying all these things just to get a rise out of people. Because I've seen it. A lot of people will say certain things say certain things just to get a rise out of people. They say certain things just to get a rise out of people. That's just how, like, a lot of the internet is anyway, and he's just the embodiment of that at that current point in time, or this current point in time. But yeah, chat. This one is this is called Unaware. No, wait, what is it called? The Beginning of the End. No, the beginning after the end. There it is. The beginning after the end. I would. This is going to fight Demon Lord for its spot. I think, chat. I think it will. It'll either fight Demon Lord for its spot, or will fight I Got Reincarnated to a Slime for its spot. Because Reincarnated into a Slime, chat, good anime, but it's too chibi vibe, if that makes any sense. It's serious, but something about it. It doesn't. I Got Reincarnated into a Slime doesn't portray the whole. It's got moments where it does, but it doesn't portray the grit. It doesn't have grit like you would see from maybe this anime right here, or what other anime. There's a few anime. You know what I mean by when I say grit. Like, there's like, man, this is a terrible place to live, or this dangerous kind of stuff. You don't really see that kind of grit with a lot of with I Got Reincarnated into a Slime. Yeah. So I'm really interested in seeing how they go about it. I hope that they do this very well. If you want to read the manga, by all means, go read the manga. But we over here gonna wait and see what happens next with this. Oh yeah, it's gonna be up there. Like I said before, it's not gonna beat Konosuba. No isekai anime will beat Konosuba. I don't care how good it is. Demon Lord is good, but it's not gonna beat Konosuba. Chat. It's top dog. It is top dog. It's funny. It's funny. It is funny. It's the best, the funniest anime out there. Konosuba is the funniest anime, right up there on the right up there with what anime was it? Not Shadow's House. What was it? What was it? Oh, Ghost Stories. Yeah, and it's not even that's just the dub, by the way. Oh yeah, those are the only two anime. If I had to pick a funny shelf, it would be only those two anime right there. Because those are the only two anime that made me, like, laugh so hard, where I'm like holding my sides. I've seen so many anime, but none of them made me like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Oh man, it had me dying. Those two anime just have me dying laughing. It's so good. They're so good. I love these anime, chat, but those are the only funny ones. Other ones had their funny moments. I ain't gonna hold you, chat. They've had their funny moments, but Konosuba and Ghost Stories aren't funny moments. It is just funny. It's funny throughout the show. Like Inuyasha or all these, like even Big O just had like one or two here and there. All these other animes just had one or two here and there, but none of them, like even Goku, Dragon Ball had like their funny moments slightly here and there. They had like no funniness, but they weren't like, man, I can't stop laughing funny. Like my guts hurt. Pause. Ugh. Anyway, chat. The beginning of after the end, and it's the beginning because his old life is over, so now his new life begins, and he's going a little bit more of a nicer route in his life, and I'm really excited to share it. I'm really excited to share it. Anyway, chat, on with the rest of the show.